Dreamers everywhere. Welcome to the Dueling Disney podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andee Zomerman.
And I'm the other one of your hosts, Andee. How you doing?
Good. Happy belated Life Day.
Happy belated Life Day. We were going to do have the entire first 16 minutes of this podcast be in Wookiee, just to celebrate it, but we figured people probably wouldn't last past that part.
Man, and kids just don't know what they're missing either. I play some of it on YouTube for them. They're like, what is this? Like, they don't care that Luke or Han or Leia or any of that. They're just like, what is this? This is like the weirdest thing ever.
Here's the weird thing is I didn't get a chance to see it when it first came on when we were kids because it wasn't my night to pick what was on TV. So the first time I saw it was like when it was on YouTube.
Well, I will tell you that it obviously wasn't my night either. I didn't mind it. It was just that Star Wars was a family thing for my science fiction loving father and his children. So,
well, sure.
I mean,
so did your dad take you out to see Star Wars when it came out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And
my dad talks about it all the time because my dad is not a science fiction type of person.
Okay.
And he always I don't know if your dad does this, but my dad has like the 5 stories he tells like 15 times a holiday. And he always says, yeah, me and Renee took Bip to see, that's what my family calls me, Bip, to see Star Wars. And I think I liked it more than he did. And da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, my dad has stories like that. Interesting.
Yeah. That's a dad thing.
Okay. Well, how was your Disney week?
It was good. We were texting back and forth trying to figure out what we were going to talk about this week, and I shared that I spent way too much money on okay, so do you know about box lunch?
Yeah.
I did not know about box lunch, even though like they're at Comic-Con all the time, and I didn't really realize they were a thing.
Okay, they're at Comic-Con and they're at D23.
Yeah, now, but
and in the malls.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really realize that
and online.
Well, I knew they existed. I just didn't know.
And in my Facebook feed.
All right, why don't you go ahead? They aren't on my Facebook feed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I didn't realize they had exclusive Disney stuff. And so I just because I was looking for, there's this like Dodgers blue Disneyland jersey that I want that I can't find. And so I was just looking for Disney jerseys and box lunch came up. And then they had all this flipping Disney stuff that's like high quality stuff that's not like stuff you can find in the park. So I ended up buying like a little bit of, like a bunch of stuff. So I bought like I bought a Mickey Mouse baseball jersey because I guess I'm into that now. I bought a Goofy football jersey. I'm not sure which football, if it's like soccer or football, because I'm not gonna watch football. Either football. And I bought a cool, which isn't Disney, but I bought a cool Peanuts baseball jersey.
Oh, cool.
And then I bought a Batman Beyond motorcycle jacket. And so I blame you because you're the one who says, oh, I don't want to buy anything that's a dust catcher. Any collectible I have has to be practical. So that like rings in my head. And then I blame you whenever I spend money on clothes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I'll take it.
Yeah. So
I mean, Disney Store too is having like so many cute clothes that is being advertised, and I just can't do it. I have a closet full of clothes. Nobody needs to have that many clothes, and there's so many cute ones though, but I can't fall into that trap.
So you're better than me? I don't understand.
No, not at all. It's a me thing. Like, because if I get more clothes than the clothes I also already like, I don't wear enough of, and I forget that I have things that I like because other things I don't know. I don't know. I
have a ton of clothes that I never wear because they're not like work clothes. So, like, I feel like every weekend I get like 2 shots at wearing my stuff.
Yeah, you're in a little bit different situation than I am. I am very lucky. There are teachers all over this nation who have strict dress codes in their districts, like where they have to even like pay $5 to wear jeans on Friday or some ridiculous nonsense.
Wait a minute, hold on, time out. How is that legal?
No. It's like it goes to charity, right? If the
Charity
teachers pay
schmarity. You ain't
$5.
getting $5 out of me.
Well, not only that, $5 when you're a teacher, like you are the charity, all right?
Yeah.
Like there is no other, yeah, anyway. But I am very lucky that in my district, being in Portland, we're very casual. And so I wear my Disney stuff all the time. All the time.
Yeah. I mean, my job's fairly casual, but I don't think it's
Still,
casual enough to wear like branded, especially because of where I work. People would be like, "You're supporting capitalism," and I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah.
I can't with the." So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I am awaiting delivery of my wonderful new Disney clothes.
Well, good.
What about you? How was your Disney week?
You know, it was I didn't have a lot of, I mean, other than showing the kids Life Day on YouTube, which they didn't care about. So I cared
You
about.
didn't show it to them from the beginning, did you?
I actually tried, and then I was like, okay,
God,
no. No. I know. No. At first I tried, and then I was like, no. Let's get to the end.
Yeah. And
Where all the characters are.
We're talking about the Star Wars holiday special. It is terrible. Right?
Yeah,
if somebody doesn't like
really
it,
bad.
Oh, I completely understand.
I need to watch the new one, the Lego one, I think. I need to watch that one and see. But, you know, I mean, Diane Carroll being all weirded out.
So bizarre.
And like the worst of all 70s type music is on that show.
Well, but it's also like when we were kids, me more than you, because I'm a little bit older, like the variety special where you just had random stuff happening and here's a musical number and here's some dancers in stormtrooper outfits was just something that always happened.
Yeah, I know.
And when you
we watch variety shows.
We watched some really strange things when we were
kids. Donnie Marie was a variety show we watched all the time. Carol Burnett was a variety show. Sonny and Cher, Smothers Brothers, all the specials, the Brady Bunch one. That was not even a special. That was a TV series. I mean, that was a genre that was very popular.
Right. And it's so amazing to think about it now from our perspective, but the 70s variety show was pretty popular.
Yeah, and that's what that was. That's what the holiday special was, for sure. For sure.
Let's also acknowledge that the cast, because they actually got the cast from Star Wars to show up, which was amazing. And if you watch it, it probably helps to know that every single one of them was high as the sky.
Pretty much tell. Well, and it was after, I think we talked about this last year, it was after Luke's accident too. So Mark Mark Hamill's accident.
So he looked completely different.
So he looked very different. Yeah,
Yeah,
very interesting.
If you want a better version of that, watch when Mark Hamill hosted the Muppet Show. That was a much better version.
Fair enough. Also a variety show, and which we're going to be talking about. But I will say it's worth it, even if you just go find B. Arthur.
Oh my God.
Because she's funny no matter what.
Yeah.
So just go, just keep like fast forwarding until you find B. Arthur and watch her little thing.
Although I will recommend there's a documentary on Disney Plus about the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh,
that is well worth watching.
Yeah, I think I need to do that. Well, luckily, I don't know about you. Do you have the whole week off, or do you just have Thanksgiving off?
I'm working from home Monday through Wednesday.
Okay.
And then Thursday and Friday off.
All right. I am so grateful that we had this week off. I just want to stay in bed and watch the making of the Star Wars holiday special. Disney Plus. And I am very excited. One of my favorite, I know you've never read it, it's a young adult book, but one of my favorite middle grade young adult books, Out of My Mind by Sharon Draper, that they made a movie out of it, and it's on Disney Plus right now, and I can't wait to watch it. It's one of my favorite books, and I hope they did it justice.
What's
with
it
the
called?
Movie. Out of My Mind.
Out of My Mind. No, I haven't read it. I'm an old adult, so it wasn't really.
Well, I teach children. So, no, it's great.
I often say, that weird stuff about how, you always have you read this young adult book? And I'm always like, no, I'm not a creep.
It has nothing to do with being a creep.
I think if I read most of the books you recommend to me, you'd be like, you're a creep. Why are you floating around the young adult and children's book section at Barnes & Noble?
I think that you take it way too seriously, and that there are some good middle grade and young adult books, and you are missing out I mean, did you
I'm
read
saying
Harry Potter?
if you see a guy my age floating around the young adult section,
Which I often do.
you might want to, notify the people who work at the
Wait, are you telling me that you have not read Harry Potter? And you think
Yeah, I
that
read Harry
everybody,
Potter.
that's a young adult children's
But I
novel.
was like in my 30s.
Oh my God. You cannot be serious right now. Anyway, Out of My Mind is a great book about Melody, who everybody thinks doesn't have actually any thought capacity. She uses a speech board, and once they give her a speech board, they can tell how genius she is. So
wait a minute, I think I saw the trailer for this.
Oh, we don't want you watching it. You might be a creep.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid you should watch a children's show, Mr.
Look,
Disney.
let me just be clear.
Freak.
I watch
You go to Disneyland by yourself.
Meant for adults, like comic books.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Comic books, Star Wars, and Disney.
Yeah.
No, you're not a creep at all.
I'm not a creep.
You're a creep.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, speaking of children's type things for adults.
Can we put that in the quote of the week? I'm not a creep. Quote Alfred Day. Yeah.
Oh, God. They made a song about
the only people who swear they're not creeps
are creeps.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. As we look at our next administration's cabinet.
Yeah. But, let's get to our topic. It's time to play the music.
It's time to light the lights. It's time to get things started.
Why don't we get things started?
Okay. On the Muppet Show tonight. Which it is not the Muppet Show, but the Muppets took Disney, and that was a long time ago. And now the announcement was
the Muppets they bought.
That is true. That is true. All right. Well, bygones. Anyway, the Muppet Courtyard in Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World is going to go away. And so that we kind of knew something was happening at D23.
At D23 they talked about it.
Yeah, but
the plan is for it to become Monstropolis.
So Monsters Inc. is going in, the Muppets are going out. People have opinions, as they always do. However, we have been told that Muppets 3D vision is going to be preserved in some way. We don't know what that way is right now. And then the second...
Let's be clear, it's going to be preserved like Captain EO, which is maybe you can watch some old YouTube videos.
Yeah, but there were problems. I bet you if there weren't as many Michael Jackson problems as there were.
Because if you recall the timeline, Disneyland, at least, I don't know about Disney World, brought back Captain EO after the problems were well documented.
Well, so did World.
People still went to it.
Yeah, it was at Epcot.
If you call those folks hypocrites, I'm a hypocrite because I went to it. And whatever problems I have with Michael Jackson, the music's good. So anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted. And that would be so rude to interrupt you while you were talking.
There's a whole MJ Broadway play anyway that I'll be going to see because I have tickets already. Anyway, okay. So Muppets Courtyard in Hollywood Studios is going away. Monstropolis is coming. And the other announcement is that Rock-N-Roller-Coaster with Aerosmith is going away. And that is where some of the people are sad about it, angry about it.
But Rock-N-Roller-Coaster is staying. It's just going to be rethemed to Muppets Rock-N-Roller-Coaster.
I think super excited. Electric Mayhem, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
Look, I like Aerosmith as much as anybody. But I'm much more excited about going to see that attraction if the Muppets are on it.
That's the thing. So Annika, our youngest, she loves Rock-N-Roller-Coaster. It was one of her first roller coasters, so she feels really, tight with that roller coaster. I am thrilled. I think that it's a little bit dated now. I think that too many young kids don't even know what Aerosmith is. And you can't.
And talk about problematic. Does anybody know what Steven Tyler got?
That's why they shut it. I mean, they shut it down for rehab, but then they closed it down for a little bit. They weren't sure if they were going to bring it back up because of the problems with Steven Tyler.
I don't think it was because of the problems with Steven Tyler so much.
What do you mean?
Again, the problems with Steven Tyler aren't new. It's not like we just discovered all this stuff happened and we didn't know.
Well, there's a lot of new stuff that came out in the last 5 years.
What about him being with underage women?
No.
That was known for years.
No, like racism stuff and
Yeah,
all
I just
that.
assume all those guys are racist, but that's
Wow.
just me.
But anyway, yeah, so the thing about Disney is that they cannot control those who they have licenses with, right? They can control everybody that works for them. And so to make it their intellectual property, I think is smart on their part. They don't have to worry about people doing things non-family oriented.
You're going to find out, years later of Kermit saying something. Kermit being caught on tape, I don't think is going to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I, for one, am thrilled about it, and I hope that they expand that whole area to be more Muppetized than even the courtyard was.
No, I think it's a good idea. I think I'm actually way more excited about the Muppets Rock-N-Roller-Coaster. And let's also add that they're going to do the door ride in Monstropolis. So we're getting a whole nother ride.
A roller coaster.
Another roller coaster, right? In Monstropolis, which really like adding something. I really like that park. It's probably my second favorite park at Walt Disney World after Epcot.
Really?
But it's also kind of, I'd say, a half to 3/4 day park. It's really easy to kind of go, I've done everything. And so adding, I think, an attraction of that caliber and like more Muppet stuff is a really, really good idea. But I also like the one of the things that I think is interesting is, and I'm so curious about Annika's take on the changes, because I'm like, is Annika a big Aerosmith fan? Like, I don't like, people get really emotional about the changes. Like, if you think back to our episode about Splash Mountain becoming Tiana's Bayou Adventure, like, people were incredibly emotional about, I can't believe they're changing that, and da 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 da, and people are really emotional about, which is really hard for me to understand, like, how dare you change Aerosmith to the Muppets? And I'm like, really? Like, and I guess it's, for me, it's like, and my dissertation was on parasocial relationships, and this touches on that. People get very, very connected on a very deep emotional level with characters, right? With fictional and mediated characters. And I think they're transferring that parasocial relationship to attractions or themed lands, which is this very strange or more amorphous sort of phenomenon where you basically have treated an attraction like a friendship and feel betrayed, like Disney is killing my friend by changing Rock-N-Roller-Coaster from Aerosmith to the Muppets. But I'm curious your thoughts. Like, have you been emotionally impacted by changes at the Disney park?
Nope.
Great.
I mean, I say that.
Go ahead and
say that.
Happy. Oh, you have more to say.
Well, I miss things. I mean, America Sings will always be one of my favorites. The whole thing as a child, as a early teen, just I can sing the whole soundtrack.
Celebrating the bicentennial. I get it.
Yes.
I had to explain that to somebody in my office actually recently, because I was talking about where the animatronics came from for Splash Mountain, and I was like, here's the thing you probably won't realize if you weren't there is we were all very excited in 1976.
Yeah. We went to the Rose Parade that year in Pasadena.
It was all anybody could talk about.
I know. I loved it, and I was sad when it left, but I wasn't, I don't know. Maybe maybe that's not a good example. Captain EO left. Mission to Mars left. I mean, there were a lot of things that leave and come back. Some things like Star Wars Launch Bay, is that like great that it's still there? Maybe not.
You could probably get rid of that at this point.
But with Splash Mountain, I see Splash Mountain kind of like Annika feels with Rock-N-Roller-Coaster. It's not so much Aerosmith she's attached to. It's the idea that is your first roller coaster. Okay. That is your first, just as a kid, what is in your memory bank. Same as Splash Mountain. let's just say that the changes to Tiana are amazing.
I loved it.
But even with Splash Mountain, Splash Mountain was something that I was like, oh my God, I have to go on it. We have to go on Splash just for me because I don't want to get wet. So
yeah. And let's
if
be
I
clear,
went on it, great.
you may get wet.
You may get wet. Hang on to your hats and glasses. I don't know. What about you? Are you sad about anything they took away?
I'm trying to sort of go back in my mind because as you know and as listeners know, my sort of connection with Disneyland doesn't really start until I got to college, because we couldn't really afford to go when I was a kid. We went twice in my memory. Once when I was like still in a stroller, and that's not really, I don't remember that. I like literally the only memory I have of it is being in a stroller. I was maybe 1 or 2. And then I went when I was like 16, and my mom thought my brother couldn't get back in his house, so we stayed and went home. And then I went for grad night, which was the only time I've ever had a bad time at Disneyland. And so my I don't have like childhood connections to Disneyland Park. Like my childhood connections to like Disney movies and stuff like that, right? And so the park, I was always sort of a fan of the park, but it was more through like libraries and research. And so for me, and this is something that I think is interesting about the way people have emotional attachments to these things. For me, part of what I like about the park is the evolution of it over the years. Because one of the things I say when people get really emotionally attached and say, oh, don't change it. I don't think any of us would go to Disneyland if it was the Disneyland of opening day.
Of course not.
Right? It'd be like, oh,
well, that's
great.
what I love about Disney. I love that there's always something new to do no matter what. So the changes to me are always just a part of what needs to happen. And I don't think I'm not emotionally attached. Right. I can't think of anything I'm that emotionally attached to. Like I love Tower of Terror, but Guardians Mission
is good too.
Breakout is great.
But I can also say that there are certain attractions that I can't imagine Disneyland, like again, if I have an emotional attachment to Disneyland less than Walt Disney World, but like, at my age, 20 years from now, maybe they take out the Haunted Mansion. That would be insane to me, but I might have that reaction, on Haunted Mansion, or maybe it's a Small World or the Matterhorn or something like that. So that's sort of theoretical, because the things I'm attached to are really unlikely to be shifted in my lifetime. So is there anything that if they took it out, you would just be like, oh, that's like an icicle to my heart?
Nope. Even when you're talking about Small World and Haunted Mansion, I just think things are the way they are for the time that they are, and I enjoy new and improved a lot. So like I said, with America Sings, I miss it. Of course, that would be so dated. Now it would be horrible.
Oh, can you imagine America Sings right at this moment?
No, I mean that would be.
Oh my God,
that would be icky. And so
there's also like stuff that I think they probably should take out. When we were there, not this time, but the previous time, we went to the Carousel of Progress. I was glad I got to see it, and as soon as it was done, I was like, okay, it's time for this thing to close.
That would piss off a lot of people,
right? But really, how many people were in that attraction when we were there? Very
nobody.
few.
It's a nap. That's a nap, which is what America Sings was too. Right. And Carousel Progress had to make way for America Sings in Disneyland. So, I don't know. Bigger and better, man. I just, I don't know.
So there's nothing if they took it away.
I can't think of anything.
The castle. They take the castle away. And they say people aren't really connected to princesses anymore. We're going to put a recreation of the Death Star instead. That doesn't bother you?
Okay, that would bother me, but only because the Death Star is a later IP that had nothing to do with Walt Disney himself at all. So that part would bother me.
Yeah, I mean, they have Galaxy's Edge as a whole land that has nothing to do with Walt.
Yeah, I know, but you can add lands. You're not taking away things. I think that's why they're leaving in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. I think that is too much of a mainstay, and that's why they're just adding the Walt Disney.
And I think that that's a brilliant way to sort of make way for the future. Is we can do both, right? Like we can preserve like these classic attractions and add,
Yeah.
and particularly if doing it at Disneyland where you don't have more land. You just
Right.
don't have more real estate.
Yeah.
And so you've got to figure out a way to do more efficiently with the space.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's nothing. I can't think of anything. And surely people are going to be yelling at me going, "What about this? What about this? You're forgetting about this."
They are going to be yelling at you, and don't call me Shirley.
But everything that they come up with so far to add, I think has only been making the parks better. Tron makes the parks better. Guardians Cosmic Rewind makes the parks better. I think that the experience is better with what they've added. I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think the Moana thing.
I'm going to challenge that idea. So you're
All right.
saying that all the evolutions have been for the best. Okay. I'm going to put one to you and tell me if you think it was for the best. At Disneyland, they switched out the People Mover for rocket rods.
Yeah, and then it died and nothing came. That's the problem. They
So
made.
would you have liked for rocket rods to continue? I mean, assuming they could have fixed the problem where it was like literally breaking the tracks and gonna collapse on people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they can't. If they improved rocket rods, like then yeah, maybe it was. I don't have an attachment to the People Mover. Yeah, I go on it every once in a while. And to tell you the truth, half the time I forget it's even closed down in the first place because there's nothing there in its place. It's still up and running at Disney World, and so sometimes I forget because I mix them up in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, there is no People Mover at Disneyland. I forget. Do you miss the Skyway? I don't miss the Skyway.
I kind of do miss the Skyway. So maybe I'm the one who talked about this emotional attachment. And I feel like maybe I'm experiencing it more than you. I kind of do miss the Skyway. I remember being on grad night, and it was like the only good part of grad night was riding the Skyway and looking down to see if we could find anybody from our school.
Yeah, we did that too.
You know.
Yeah, we did that too. We had a lot of school trips to Disney actually.
Yeah.
That we did that with, for sure.
Yeah, we didn't. That was the only school trip I had to Disney. And for folks who think you grow up in California and you go to Disneyland all the time, it'd be just if you ain't got the money, you're not going.
Well, if you live closer to it, you'll go more
I spent
often.
Every summer and winter in LA, and we didn't go to
Disneyland. Okay, sorry. Okay, we did.
I don't know if you know this, but even in the 80s, Disneyland was a little pricey.
Not like now.
Oh God, no. No, even if you account for inflation, it's so much more expensive than it used to be.
I could afford to go when I was in high school. I could afford to take my minimum wage job and save money to go to Disney. It was only $20 to get in. It was $20.
I might have been able to swing that but I couldn't swing like love my dad. He ain't listening, so I don't care if I say this. He was not going to be the kind of person to be like, hey, let's take the kids to Disneyland.
All right, that's
My
fair.
dad was the guy who was like, here's $20, go down and buy yourself some comic books. Catch the RTD down to Hollywood. Here's a knife, so if somebody messes with you, do
all right
about it.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, so going back to Hollywood Studios, you know, one of the things they got rid of, okay, I'll say I missed this, where they have the Star Wars launch bay right now in Hollywood Studios used to be the animation department where actual animators were working there. Yeah. And so that's where we saw Mulan being illustrated. Like we watched actual animators work on Mulan. That was so special. That was so
that was
awesome.
A really cool part of the original Hollywood Studios, where it was also a working studio. It was kind of like their answer to Universal. And they did animation there, and they shot movies there, and all kinds of stuff like that. I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And it just became financially not worthwhile, and so they shifted it. And I again, it was one of the original concepts for the park, I think.
Well, yeah, exactly. When it was Disney's MGM Studios. But now they've got that Star Wars launch bay there. They've got Star Tours in another part of the park, which is totally separate from Galaxy's Edge altogether. So
once they have Galaxy's Edge, Star Tours you can keep, but like Star Wars launch bay, come on.
I know, that's why I'm saying. But if you turn that into part of
California
the Muppets
and Florida, come on. Like what?
And they're in totally different parts. Like but I'm saying that if you expand the Muppets and you put the
Mhm.
Electric Mayhem or Rock-N-Rollercoasters, then you have all that area behind there to
Right.
do the Muppets. Now, the Muppets, they used to have this really cool gift shop in the Muppets Courtyard, and that hasn't been open
Mhm.
for a few years, like 4 years
But I
now.
guarantee if they do Muppets Rock-N-Roller Coaster,
Y-
they're gonna do a lot of shopping for the because if you think
That's
about
what
it,
I'm
in that
saying.
area, I think it's mostly Tower of Terror merch. Because
Well,
there's the Rock-N-Roller Coaster stuff, but I can't imagine Rock-N-Roller Coaster merch is a big seller.
it is to our family, but but you would have Muppet stuff there. But I'm just saying that you can expand, like you can
Yeah.
still even have, even if you kept the 3D and just put it in a different part of the park, or
Mhm.
you could have another ride altogether.
I mean, it's Disney World. They have enough space to move the whole attraction.
That's what I'm saying. So
But
so
here's
what
my
if it's not a
question.
courtyard?
So when we went, I wasn't really paying close attention. Is Muppets 3D still an attraction that gets a ton of people in it? Because they're the attractions that we love, that we go to every time, but it's out purely out of nostalgia and they're not getting new fans. I admit, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, most of the time I go in there ain't nobody in there. And it's hard for me to talk when I'm on a trip with other people, for me to talk to other people to go in there. So my Great Moments, if I am there on a solo trip, every single time I'm doing Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. But if they said, you know what, nobody's doing it. It's a big piece of land. We need an attraction that absorbs more people. I would understand it. I wouldn't be thrilled about it. But is Muppets one of those that like we love because of the nostalgia, but like new people don't or kids don't? I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think I'd still like it. That's why I'm saying you can like continue on. I think there's enough. See, Electric Mayhem was a show in 2023, and it
Mhm.
got canceled after one season. I don't think there's the draw for it anymore. However, synergy, right? If you build it, they will come.
Right.
So make it a Muppets playland for
Hmm.
the kids and adults. We love Muppets, right? I mean, and kids still watch Sesame Street. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know it's not the same characters, but it's the
I mean,
same
a couple of them
idea.
are. Kermit is.
Is Kermit still on Sesame Street?
I have not watched Sesame Street for a very long time, but
Well, that's
I
what I'm
always
saying.
assumed he was. I mean, he's Kermit.
I
He's
know, but I thought
Kermit.
he left at Muppet Show.
I that was around the time that I was no longer watching Sesame Street. You got
Ses-
kids, so I figure you may know more than me.
Maybe, but the guests that go on Sesame Street are hilarious, so I still watch parts of Sesame Street. That's funny stuff. Their draw is pretty big. I mean, come on. Yeah, good stuff. Anyway, yeah, I think that Pizza Rizzo is the restaurant over there right now. We
Hmm.
had pizza there. I think they probably won't do the exact same thing, but they could do
Hmm.
something similar over there. Who knows? I mean, yeah, I just think
I
there's a
mean, there's
lot
a
of
ton of opportunity.
options. Yeah.
What I the here's the thing that I don't want them to do, because and part of it is because I have such an attachment to the farmers market in LA, is I really like that farmers market recreation in Florida.
That's hilarious.
And I could see them being like, well, this isn't even like the theme of this being Hollywood is sort of going away over the years. So let's completely retheme that to something different, which I would really not like because I
Well,
love.
I don't think they'd have to. I don't like that area.
Mhm.
Because it reminds me of LA's farmers market.
Do you not like LA's farmers market? I love LA's
It's
farmers market.
always been so trafficy and dirty, and
Oh
I
my
don't
god!
know.
I mean, I used to live in the neighborhood, so I would go
I
there for
know.
breakfast every Sunday. It was awesome.
Okay. I mean, I have different memories, but
Best pancakes, man. Oh,
they don't have pancakes at the one in Florida. They don't have.
look,
I can keep it the way it is. Keep it as Sunset Boulevard. Just make it. But I'm talking about expanding Muppets behind that, where
yeah,
Launch Bay is,
right,
and then behind like that whole area that's
right,
kind of nothing right now,
right,
except for Launch Bay. Like take that and make it part. You can make a whole ride in there, and then you have your shopping and Muppets
yeah,
Area could be a whole Muppets Area
right.
behind that. You don't have to touch
So you could sort
the
of
farmers
recreate
market,
Muppets Courtyard in a very
yeah,
different.
and not make it a
Yeah.
courtyard, make it a whole What's bigger than a courtyard? City
That's
Square, if you will.
Oh, Muppets Square. Nice. I like where you're
Yeah.
going with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could still keep the New York aspect of it with Muppets Take Manhattan, that whole thing. I don't know. There's lots of stuff you could do.
That's interesting. Because the thing I was thinking of is they're actually the Henson Company is about to sell. They already have. They have a studio on La Brea, like a couple blocks from Sunset. That used to be. It's a very historic studio. It used to be Charlie Chaplin's studio, and
Yeah.
now it's the Henson's folks own it. But
Yeah.
there's a big Kermit and Charlie Chaplin statue out front, and I've always really like dug that place. And I was like, oh, you could just totally recreate that. Even it's funny
Yeah.
because we're about to sell that studio, but I was like, that would be really cool because it would fit right into the Hollywood theme because it's literally already like a couple blocks from Sunset Boulevard.
Well,
in
that's
the
true.
real
And
world.
in the Muppet movie, weren't they going towards Hollywood
Oh
in
yeah,
the beginning? So
for
yeah.
their standard Hollywood big star contract, if you remember.
Yeah. I'm just saying you could do stuff,
What
okay?
was it, the rich and famous contract? Your standard rich and famous contract.
I really need to watch that again.
God, I
It's
love that movie.
such a great movie. It's such a great
myth.
movie.
It's a myth. Yeah.
Yes. And I even think the new Muppet movie one is good too. I think the new franchise of them, I think they did a really good job with that too. So I just think there is a lot you can do. I'm not upset about it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about Monstropolis. I think Monsters Inc. is way overdue for its own area. Yeah, I say bring it on.
I agree. I am just surprised that you don't have something that you have such an emotional attachment to that you're like, they can never change this. That surprises me. Because I would think I would be the more cynical of the two of us on that kind of thing. And I didn't think this when we started this conversation, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I'd be upset if they changed. But I didn't care about like Journey Through Inner Space. What do I care about that?
I can't think of anything.
Right?
I really can't.
If all of a sudden they said, we have Galaxy's Edge, we don't need Star Tours, I would be very upset.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, wow. I am very surprised. I didn't realize your heart was so cold.
Man, talk to my husband. He'll tell you every day.
This is true. He does. He texts me about it all the time.
Because I like the feeling of going into Disney. I like the feeling of the atmosphere around. And yeah, if you want to change that to be well, they kind of already have. Like, I want to say, like, if you want to change it to be like a Universal setting where there's alcohol everywhere, but guess what? I mean, Magic Kingdom and Disneyland are the only non-alcoholic parks anyway. So and
I don't know about Magic Kingdom, but at Disneyland you can get a drink at Galaxy's Edge.
Well, yeah, at Oga's, and you can.
I feel like there's one other place you can get. Isn't there somewhere else at Disneyland you can get something to drink?
Well, besides Club 33.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's one more place. I don't know. I have to do some research.
I don't know, but well, you can in Magic Kingdom. Skipper's Canteen has cocktails, and I mean, so they're expanding it that way anyway. I don't know. It's the atmosphere, and I don't know how to put words into if that was taken away.
So if they switched out Main Street for something else, what about that?
I'm just trying to find I like Main Street USA. Yes, maybe Main Street USA is important to me. Yeah, I don't know. But see, they've taken like some of our classics and updated them into other parks, like into Shanghai and Hong Kong, Paris and Tokyo. Right. And I really want to go see those things. So,
and because some of my favorite stuff is stuff that was changed from other stuff, right? So for me, I agree with you. I'm just trying to gauge like that emotional, like when you first said Annika has, an emotional attachment to the Rock-N-Rollercoaster. I thought you were talking about the Muppets because I was like, she only saw that Muppet Vision 3D for the first time this last trip.
Well, the second time she doesn't remember the first time. Yeah. Except that she was terrified by it, which is why she never watched the Muppets after that. But I digress.
Statler and Waldorf are terrifying. So rude.
And I love them. Yeah, I'm excited. Bring on Electric Mayhem. Bring it on.
All right.
Bring it on. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I really can't think of anything that I would be upset by. Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing to me. I'm very proud of you. I'm impressed. You're
Are you
much
proud?
more
I don't know.
evolved. You're much more evolved than I am because I have realized over the course of this conversation I enjoy a parasocial relationship with attractions, which is I'm gonna have to do another research thing on
Well,
how can
but
yeah.
what if your parasocial relationship is with the company itself?
And see, for me, it's almost too broad because the company itself is, this is just me speaking, is a capitalistic endeavor that's there to make money, right? And so it's hard for me to consider that that's a relationship that's not really an identifiable thing to have a relationship with. I have a relationship with the Haunted Mansion. I have a relationship with Disneyland, sure.
I bet that's where I
Parts
get
of
my.
it, right? And it
But
doesn't. And why it seems crazy is because it is. It doesn't make sense. But I'm describing rather than explaining, right? Like I don't have a parasocial relationship with Disney as a company, although I may have a parasocial relationship with Walt Disney Studios, the feature animation, right? So it's all a matter of scale. Like I love Walt Disney feature animation,
my anger comes
but I
when
don't care
they
about ESPN.
right. But my anger comes from when they try to change things in that respect, where I don't care if they change an attraction, but slap a $400 price tag on top
Mm-hmm.
of the already expensive prices so you can have Lightning Lane. That bothers me. That
Yeah.
bothers me a great deal
Mm-hmm.
because my relationship is of the idea that a family can just go to a Disney park and enjoy themselves without worrying about extra,
Yeah.
and that comes to actually 1955,
Right.
when Disney had your admission price and you could go in without going on any of the rides and just enjoy the atmosphere,
Yeah.
and then you paid extra for the rides. And I remember when we went in 1978, they still had the option where you could pay and buy tickets, but they also brought in the option of, hey,
All
we can
inclusive.
give you the all inclusive, and then you
Yeah.
can go on all the rides. And I thought, as a kid, I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's the way to
Right.
go. But now,
And
after
yeah, but
everything,
it's interesting because I think it also, because it ties in with your childhood and your experiences of it. And for you, that's been part of your connection with Disneyland your whole life. For me, it was always, at least as in my childhood, an out of reach thing. So I never had the understanding that Disney was going to be a family thing. Like it was always, oh my God, Disneyland's so expensive. Like from day one. So part of that is it's the difference between sort of the middle class connection to Disney and the sort of poor kid connection to Disney. Like we lived, when I was a kid, when I was like before 10, we lived way closer to Disney than you guys did. We lived in Compton, right? And that's maybe a half-hour drive in no traffic. But we didn't go to Disneyland. I think we went to Disneyland the one time when my grandma came out. And that's it. And it was always just out of reach. So my concept of Disneyland has never been, hey, this is a place where all the family goes to together and has a good time. It's always been, hey, this is this really rare thing that costs a lot of money and you probably are going to have a good time, but you're going to need a lot of money to go do it. And so the Lightning Lane thing, for me, everybody was like, can you believe they're doing this? I'm like, yeah. Can I believe that Disneyland is going to charge you to access these rides? Yeah, I'm surprised it took them as long as it did. When I went to Universal last year, they had this type of pass, and I was going around going, "Yeah, I can't believe Disney hasn't done this yet." So when they did it, I was like, "Well, yeah." And
well,
honestly,
maybe,
when I went to Universal and got that kind of pass, the whole park took me like 2-3 hours.
yeah, but maybe that's why I never wanted Disney to do it. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Universal tries to nickel and dime you, but Disney, you just, pay your price and then you go. Well, now Disney has jumped into the nickel and diming, and
And
that's where my sadness.
I thought Disney's like, I've never had experience of Disney not nickel and diming. I've always thought that's what Disney did. So I wasn't surprised. Like I never thought Disney was a magnanimous company that just wanted everybody to go. I
Oh,
thought
no,
Disney was
no,
a company that
no.
wanted you to pay through the nose for this experience.
Yeah, but okay, so then what did you think the first time then when they Genie Plus, they started making you pay for fast? It was one thing to even have the fast pass where you had to go and
Yep.
get it while you were there, and then it was another
I
like
thought it sucked, but I wasn't
yeah.
surprised, I guess is the
Oh,
difference. I think the fast pass sucks, but I'm not surprised that that they realize that there are certain people who are going to pay for the premium experience and that they're willing to like make a profit off of it. Nah, that's American capitalism. A friend of mine told me when I was a kid, and I've never forgotten it. The goal of any for-profit business is to make money. Anything
absolutely.
they say other than that is marketing. The goal of any business is to make money.
So
And whatever.
do you think because they were almost went bankrupt, do you think that Walt's intentions was to make money then?
And remember what I said, the goal of any business. I'm not saying
Yeah,
the
because he's not a business guy.
individuals in the company don't have other intentions. I think there's plenty of people who are artists and they're moving for art. But Walt was involved in an expensive art.
Yeah.
And he went to his brother and said, Roy, I want to do all the stuff I want to do, figure out how, and the stuff I want to do is expensive, figure out how to do it. And then Roy said, oh, so you mean we need to make money.
Do you think if I went to Ed and said the same thing?
Yeah.
Do you think if I went to Ed and said, hey, Ed, these are all the things I want to do. Can you figure out a way to pay for all of it?
I mean,
think that would work?
In all honesty, yeah. Ed loves you. He would do it.
Well, he's paying for this, I guess.
He would absolutely 100% do it. And my favorite Roy Disney story is when Walt was passing away and somebody walked in and he was just massaging his feet because it was his little brother.
Yeah.
Right. And I also think Roy and Walt were just a different kind of breed of, because people think of Disney as this mega billion-dollar corporation, and don't get me wrong, Roy and Walt were definitely wealthy guys, but they weren't. You can't compare Walt Disney's income to Bob Iger's.
Bob Iger's, I know.
Right? That's just not.
I know.
It's not a one for one. Like everybody thinks of it as Disney now because it is. It's this multi-billion-dollar behemoth. That wasn't what it was in '66 when Walt.
No, not at all.
It was the studios and the park. One park. Think about that. It was just the studios and the one park. And the studios weren't doing that great.
I know. I watched the documentary. I get it. All right. Well, now that we said all that, I wonder what other people are saying. Well, two things. One, I wonder what other people would have to say. No, don't take that away. That is my breaking point. And then I'm wondering if I'm missing something. Am I missing something? Like, is there something that I would be so sad about losing? I don't know.
I'm very curious about that too. I'm so curious if our listeners have something that they would be like, nope, that's it. I'm done. They get rid of that. I am no longer a Disney fan.
I don't know. All right. Let us know. They
sell Mickey Mouse to Warner Brothers.
Oh, come on.
Are you still going to Disneyland?
I don't even want to talk about that. I don't know. Warner Brothers did a damn good job with Harry Potter.
I had that moment. The Disney Corporation bought Marvel flipping comics. So
I know.
You imagine how that felt to me, Mr. DC Comics fan. So
I know.
They did really good stuff with it and made me watch Marvel Comics movies.
Yeah, they did. They did good things. All right, friends. You know what to do. We want to hear from you. You can either comment below if you're watching us right here on YouTube, or if you are listening on the podcast, come on over to our social media accounts on Facebook and Instagram at Dueling Disney. You can also find us on our blog, duelingdisney.com, and comment there. We hope you all have a good start to your holiday season.
Coming soon to video cassette, the magic, the music, the masterpiece. One of Walt Disney's greatest podcasts is coming your way on video. Dueling Disney.